Hello children, I'm Arti Butola, your science teacher. I hope you are doing well and taking good care of your health. Children, strictly follow do's and don'ts and keep COVID-19 away from you and your near ones. Take healthy, nutritious diet to boost up your immunity. I welcome you all to the very first session of online learning module of science for class 8th. Children, we will be starting with chapter 8, cell structure and function. So let's see what's there in that. In today's session, you all are going to learn about introduction of cell, discovery of cell, number, shape and size of cell, and level of organization. Now children, let's go back to our childhood memories, where we were used to play with colorful Lego blocks. Do you remember those colorful Lego blocks, which were used to make different structures such as buildings, planes, cars, etc.? Now, can you believe that our body is also made up of such differently sized, shaped, structured Legos? And such structures in our body are called cells. Cells are the tiny units of life that have fascinated scientists for several centuries, be it bones, the heart, the brain, the muscles that we operate to move. Everything has cells as their fundamental unit. So hence, we can say that cell is the building block of all the living beings. So children, when we say the building blocks, what exactly are we trying to refer to? Let's understand this, taking an example. If I must have to compare a cell with a non-living structure, its comparison with a brick would make a perfect sense. As we can see, these bricks are the building blocks or the basic unit of the house. Similarly, cells are the basic structural units of a living organism. If you look at the buildings around you, each one looks different in their height, their structure, and color. But basically, they all are made up of bricks. Similarly, in the living world, organisms differ from one another, but their basic structural units remain the same, which are called cells. Now, students, I think it is clear that the building blocks or the basic units are nothing but the smaller fundamental structures which will make up the larger objects. Now, I think we are able to define cell. Cell is the basic structural and functional unit of an organism. When I say the structural unit, that means the structure of all the living organisms is made up of cells. And when I say functional unit, that means each cell of the body has got a definite function to perform. In, Inside our body, so many activities keeps on going, and the specific type of cells are responsible for these activities. Now let us learn about how these amazing cells were discovered. Children, the first ever cell was discovered by an English biologist, Robert Hooke, in 1665 in a thin slice of cork with the help of a self-designed microscope. Children, cork is a part of a bark of a tree and they are dead cells. He observed some honeycomb-like structures, and each unit of these room-like structures was separated by thick wall. He named these units as cell. Apart from Robert Hooke, there were many scientists who contributed in the discovery of cell in one or the other way. Let's check out. Some of them are Antony van Leeuwenhoek, who is also called the father of microbiology. In 1674, he observed the first living cell with an improved microscope. And it was Robert Brown in 1831 who discovered the nucleus of a cell. Children, you must have seen hen's egg, right? But did you know it is actually a single cell? This is an exception in the world of cells. Except For eggs, no other cells can be seen with our unaided eyes. So children, cells can only be seen under a magnifying device. Like I've already told you, that Robert Hooke was the first one who used the basic microscope to observe the cork cells. Many years later, advanced microscopes were invented, well equipped with lenses with much higher power. These days, we have a lot of advanced devices to observe the cell, which uses the pair of lenses and magnifies the objects 50 times, 100 times, 200 times in many cases. To observe the cell clearly under the microscope, they need to be stained. The most commonly used dyes or stains are safranin, methylene blue, cotton blue, etc. These stains color the parts of the cell so that they can be seen clearly with a microscope. Children, each component of a cell has different tendency to absorb the stains. And just because of that, each component appears distinctly under the microscope. Now let's talk about size of a cell. The cell size is variable. In the living organism, the cell size may be as small as millionth of a meter or maybe as large as a few centimeters. Usually, the cells are microscopic in size and are not visible to our unaided eyes. Children, the smallest known cell is the bacterial cell, mycoplasma. It ranges from zero point 0.1 to zero point 0.5 micrometer. And the largest cell is an ostrich egg, and its dimensions are 170 into 130 millimeter. Children, usually the cells are round, elongated, irregular, or spherical. Some cells also exhibit spindle shape. But do you know on which factor the size and shape of a cell depends upon? The shape and size of the cell depends on the function they have to perform in the body of an organism. Let's understand this with an example of nerve cell. The nerve cell of both elephant and the rat is long and branched because of its role in the transmission of signals from one part of the body to another for proper control and coordination among them. Now here is a list of some of the common shapes of cells and their role. Red blood cells, they are biconcave shape. They help in the exchange of gases. Nerve cells, they are long and branched to receive and transmit messages from one part of the body to another. Muscle cells, the spindle shape, the contraction and expansion helps in the movement of the body parts. Amoebas, they are irregular in shape, which help it to move and to capture the food. WBCs are also irregular in shape, and this shape help it to squeeze out of the blood vessels and reach the particular site to kill the microbes. There are some similarities and differences between amoeba and WBC. The similarities among them are both of them are irregular in shape and they both have the ability to change their shape as per their will. They have some differences also. Amoeba is a full-fledged organism and can survive independently, whereas WBC is just a cell of a body which can't survive independently outside the organism. Children, look at these two pictures carefully and think why the size of the elephant is much bigger than the size of the rat. Are the cells of this elephant are bigger than the cells of this rat? No. The reason why elephant is larger than the rat is because it has more number of cells in its body compared to rat. So basically, the size of the animal is larger or smaller. It depends on the number of cells and not on the size and shape of the cell. So children, what do you think? How many cells are there in your body? Human body contains trillions of cells. And you will be amazed to know that you all are developed from a single cell, which multiplied several times to form this complete body of yours. And do you know that they are still dividing as you are growing? They're continuously working hard to keep you active and alive. So, students, it is clear that all the living organisms are made up of cells. But all these organisms do not contain same number of cells in their body. So based on number of cells, the living organisms are categorized into two groups: unicellular organism and multicellular organism. This word unicellular means, uni means one and cellular means cell. It means single-celled organisms. The same way, the multicellular word is made up of two words. Multi means many and cellular means cell. It means multi-celled organisms. So unicellular organisms are those organisms that are made up of single cell. There are few examples of unicellular organisms. They are amoeba, euglena, and paramecium. The unicellular organisms have a single cell to carry out all the life processes, such as ingestion, digestion, absorption, assimilation, breathing, exchange of gases, locomotion, and reproduction. Multicellular organisms are those which are made up of many cells, like plants, human beings, leopards, fungi, and many more. Students, do you know how the cells of these multicellular organisms divide their work? To understand this, it is better to break things down into levels. There are 5 levels of organization in multicellular organisms from simplest to most complex. Cellular level. Cells are the smallest unit in the body that have the basic characteristic of life, and there are many different types of cells in our body that perform different functions. Tissue level. Tissues are the group of similar cells performing similar function. We have 4 different types of tissues like connective tissue, muscle tissue, nerve tissue, and epithelial tissue. Organ level. Organs are made up of different kinds of tissue. Together, they can perform different functions in our body. And we have so many different organs like heart, brain, skin, etc. Organs made up of organ system. The organs made up of group of tissues organize themselves to perform a specific activity for an organisms. With different types of organ systems in our body are the circulatory system, nervous system, etc. Organism. Different organ systems together form an organism. An organism is a recognizable, self-contained individual. So student, I think this is enough for today's session. Soon I'll upload the concluding part of this chapter. Till then, solve the given questions based on today's session. Thank you.